All right, so I spent the last handful of videos kind of talking about various topics that I think are pretty relatable and trying to keep things like general, not too specific, just because I think, when you think about writing in like a real notepad, some things are specific and nothing's wrong with that. But I think for the most part, it's kind of like this opportunity just to like write down whatever comes to mind, whether that is something really specific or something that's really broad, just getting thoughts out. And I want this channel to be a combination of all of that. Obviously, the kind of content this is a little bit more, I don't want to say heavy, but a little bit more heavy in terms of like the topics and things like that. But as I said before, I do want to talk more about just more lighthearted things as well, fun things that I'm interested in, like shoes, fashion, music, things like that, which I do plan to like sprinkle some of that into these videos, maybe towards the end, like kind of showing different things that I like, or making whole videos about them. I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. But either way, I wanted this video to be specific to talking about transitions, and just transitioning and how that has looked in my life. I feel like for the first time in a really long time, I've actually started to embrace this concept of being in transition, because I feel like my whole life has been like that. I feel like I've always had like something to tackle after everything I've tackled. Like everything I tackle, there's always something else, basically. That's a better way to say it. And it took me a long time to kind of accept the fact that like I can not want to have to tackle these things all day long, but they're still going to be there until I do. And at some point, I'll reach a point where I feel like, oh, I've kind of dealt with the hard things in life that I've been, I don't want to say avoiding. I've never been a person that's tried to like avoid dealing with hard things, but sometimes I have absolutely been somebody that has gotten lost in hard things and letting it kind of like suck up my entire life, or sense of purpose and things like that, trying to figure out all these things, and that's like very exhausting. And yeah, I think that at this point I've realized that like, wait, there is a end point to certain things, but there's always going to be something that probably needs to be tended to or dealt with or thought about. But it's kind of like how you go about dealing with those things in a like sustainable way, basically. So for me, I finally realized that I was not dealing with these transitions as good as I thought I was, and in some way wanted them to, going so hard on trying to figure out the next thing, the next conversation I need to have with whoever, and that becomes like very just depleting, and it's just not sustainable, like I already said. And when I got to the point of realizing like, wait, like a lot of my life has been, a good amount of it, I think, has been focused on external like relationships and like what they look like and why they look that way and what could happen to make this relationship look this way. And it's like at that point, I don't know, it kind of feels like this admirable thing to be a person that cares so much. I'm saying doing this just because I do care, but it's like that could be kind of an excuse to really like pour into all these other things that I don't want to say don't matter, but at the end of the day, like you're the one that has to live with yourself, and all these other people and things and relationships, yes, they can be important and they can matter to you, but if you're not putting all that in yourself, it kind of, what does it really matter at the end of the day? Because now you're depleting yourself and have nothing left to give. So I think I realized over time that, as much as I wanted to kind of place blame on things or situations that were valid in terms of me feeling a way about them or being like, man, why did this have to happen? Why did this person have to do this? Once I figured out that like, wait, like I have more control than I think I do, on how the next step of something looks for me, and taking away, I guess, all the like power I was like giving to things and people that I didn't even realize I was, maybe is a good way to say that. And realizing that I was playing more of a role into all these like consistent transitions that I was so sick of, more than I thought I was. And that was like a very hard reality to acknowledge, because it can be easy to kind of blame is not necessarily the right word, but it can be really easy to start kind of like pointing fingers at things, even if it's, right, and even if you have a right to feel that way, or if you are in the right. But at a certain point, it's kind of like, okay, if you plan to do that forever, you'll be doing that forever, because at the end of the day, you can't control people's responses. You can't control how people act, how people behave, how people respond to you, how people whatever. And it took me a really, really long time to realize that I was kind of planning to my own demise more than I thought I was, which is, again, a weird realization to come to, because it's like, oh wait, I didn't even think about that way. But I think that over time, I have come to really enjoy, I guess, enjoy what it feels like to kind of move through a transition in a sustainable way, without feeling like, okay, when am I going to get to the end, and like when this is going to be over with, because that's just not how stuff works. That's not how life works. And being able to be patient through that, and like finding joy in the transition seasons. And that was hard. I didn't really realize that I was somebody that was trying to, I don't want to say rush, but kind of like force my way through transition seasons in a way that was just like, okay, sometimes you have to kind of be uncomfortable during these rough patches or dark seasons, or seasons that are difficult, and figure out a way to like kind of find some sort of peace in between that, or find the thing that like keeps you going, or keeps you like, sane. And yeah, over time, I feel like I realized it was just the small things. Like I really got into walking, literally just walking. Maybe a year or so ago, you hear people talk about like getting steps throughout the day, and how that's like a really easy way to get your body moving and stay healthy and things like that. And I really got into just taking walks and trying to get 10,000 steps a day. And it became something that was like a very, very small little thing that I could do every day, that I knew that was always going to be there. Because obviously when you're in the season of like transition, it can kind of feel like, man, everything is always changing, like I already said. And it can be kind of hard to find things that keep you grounded, of like, I know that this will be here every day. Because obviously relationships, people are going through their own things, even if it's the people closest to you, partners, family, close friends, and things like that. Like, they're, the people that are there for you are always going to be there. But there's still humans that are going to have their days, or have their things that don't allow them to necessarily show up the same way every single day, because they're humans and dealing with things just like you are. And I realized that was my first time experiencing something that was consistent, that I could get up every day and say, I know that my walk is going to be there. And if I don't want to do it, or if it doesn't happen, it's because I chose it. I chose not to go, or I chose not to get out. And it was a point where I was like walking every day. I was, even during the winter time, like I don't do that now, which I'll get to in a second, but I was like walking through every season, and it really allowed for me to see how much I have, again, control over my day to day, and some of these big life transitions that I was and still am going through, which maybe I'll talk about those things later on. But I realized that I had more control over my day to day habits to help kind of ease some of the stress with those things, that instead of just waking up every day like, okay, how can I solve this one problem and make it all go away? Or like, what can I do today to make it less of a problem, versus saying like, okay, what can I do today to make myself feel happy for today or the next 3 hours, or make myself feel like whole or satisfied or whatever. And slowly but surely, I start building little habits that really played a part into how I viewed what I was going through, how to, I hate to say make it through the week, but let's just be real. Sometimes it feels like that. Like, I just need to make it through this week. I am very much so like moving. I moved to a different state, and am still in the process of been here. I've been in the new state for about a couple years now or so, and I'm still in the process of just making friends, getting to know people. Not really that close to my family, which I'll talk about in another video or some other time. But it's been an adjustment, really figuring out my, people say the chosen family thing, figuring that out while also still trying to like do for myself. Obviously I have my relationship, that's great, but obviously a relationship, that's just one person. You can't put your all, and shouldn't want to put your all into one person. She feels the same way about me. Like, we are very much so adamant about, hey, have your individual life, and what we do together have those be two separate things to kind of like make both of us live a whole, like, well-rounded life. And that's something that I have really over the past year or so really have like tried to make a priority for myself. It's just like, hey, like, it's really hard making friends, but just being open to making friends. I've like come across people at the gym, and just in natural settings where I've noticed that no, people are out there, people want to like connect, and just being patient about it. That can be hard, obviously, when you move anywhere and are in a new environment. But either way, I said that to say that, like, with the walking and things like that, I slowly but surely started to build more habits that really grounded me through very tough weeks, very tough days where I felt like, okay, like, I want to have more community. I don't. You can't just make people pop up in your life that are like worth being friends with. And it's like, that's very hard, obviously. And it can be isolating. It can. And like I said, I'll get more maybe into that in another video about just how I got to that point, and more specifically about just like family kind of being estranged, what that looks like and all that. But it took about a year or so, year and a half or so, to really realize that there's a lot that I can do daily on my own that doesn't have to cost a lot of money, doesn't have to require much, but just an effort to find out, kind of like, gonna sound dramatic, but kind of find out who I am and what matters to me, which is kind of what I've been talking about in these last few videos. Things that are important to me, things that like make me happy at the end of the day, even if I'm going through just, excuse my language, a shitty season, or just like a really hard time. And that has really been, I don't want to say that's the answer to how I've dealt with like transitions, but it's been a big answer to how I have dealt with transitioning and getting through things that I kind of would look like, I don't know how this is going to look like, how long is this going to take to get better or to like be solved. And when you have all these habits in between time, it can really help, you know, I mean, yeah, kind of help pass time, kind of help like when you have those weeks where it's just quiet and it's just you and your brain, or you and your partner, or you and just, it's kind of, especially during like the winter months. I think we all know like the winter months are sometimes more isolating just because of the weather and the vibe outside and all of that. But, you know, I lost my train of thought. Darn. I don't know. I think I was just saying that like over time, I really realized that the habits really just help time pass by and help me kind of get through those moments where there was nothing fabulous, or like not fabulous, but nothing flashy going on, not a whole lot of socializing, and like really I didn't realize how uncomfortable I was with silence and kind of like being kind of like having to be look internally, like be internal with my days. I think I was so used to being so internal growing up, just because of how my I don't know, my personality as a kid and as a teenager, and like my relationship with family and stuff like that. I realized that there were certain parts of my life that kind of got missed, or kind of I didn't really develop fully in. So by the time I got into my 20s, and specifically now, late 20s, I realized that like there are certain things that now are kind of coming up that I guess you can say missed out on when it comes to like just socializing, being able to have peers, consistent peers and friends that I feel like I can open up with and have like just that community aspect. I feel like I've never, in real life, outside of my blood family, I've never experienced having that like community of like friends, people you meet at like work, or like I said, the gym, or through mutual friends, and you build connections that way. I've never experienced that. So now, I've been experiencing this like really like this want to just have more community, but like not really knowing where to start, and like not knowing how to do that, because again, how do you just wake up and make 5 friends or whatever, or however many friends? And having these habits and having these things I do for myself personally has really helped me to understand that like it's going to take time. It's not something that you can just kind of turn on and say, hey, I want to meet people, I mean, you can probably meet people anywhere, but meeting the kind of people that I want to meet and that kind of aligns with how I live my life, or the things that I'm interested in, or whatever. And I'm slowly but surely seeing that like the patience is like paying off, because I didn't force anything. I didn't try to go be in settings or scenes that I really didn't fit into. I'm not really a person that I would say, I'm not really like a fit-in kind of person. I'm not just saying that, I'm just not. Like, even if I was to try to, that's just not My partner and I were talking about this not too long ago, about how I am just not somebody that fits in to just any space, just because that's just not I don't have a, like, I need to fit in kind of personality. I'm very much so like, hey, like, if it doesn't work, or if I feel kind of off here, if I feel like I don't fit into this space or how these people joke or whatever, I don't know, that's just an example, but like, I'm not somebody that forces my way into somewhere if it doesn't feel natural. I'll say it that way. And that can be kind of hard when you are just naturally a person that way, because it feels like, man, like, I want to meet people, but I don't feel like I'm connecting with these people. I don't feel like I have anything in common, or like I can really add to whatever is being talked about or whatever. And that can be kind of hard when you really want to meet people that align. And when I say align, I mean, like, okay, like, I can have a friend that is really into fitness like me. We may not have a whole bunch of things to talk about in terms of extra deep, profound stuff, but I would love to have more people in my life that I can talk to about fitness, or just talk about what their workout plans are, what their, what kind of split do they do, stuff like that. That I feel like I have different things in my life that I'm interested in. I would love to find friends to kind of like exist with me in those categories, if that makes sense. And some maybe that have all of them. But slowly but surely that is coming around. I'm very open to like meeting new people. I've joined like a virtual book club that I found on Threads. Somebody put a post on Threads for masculine presenting people, and I found a book club that just has a lot of cool people in there. I've gotten to connect with a few of them. A few of them have been able to check out my YouTube channel, which I'm very appreciative of. And it's just been a really good way to kind of connect with people. It's not physical, but it's still baby steps. Is still a way to be able to know people that I've really appreciated and like have really enjoyed. So nonetheless, I really do believe that like transitional periods don't have to suck as bad. I think if you have just habits and things that you do that just make just one thing that you can wake up to and look forward to, that's maybe a good way to say it. And for the walks and stuff like that, I found that I would wake up and I would look forward to doing that no matter what I was going through. And that really, really, really helped. And that's expanded out now with like the gym. My breakfast in the morning, I eat the same breakfast like every day. I've been doing that for like the past 2 years. Maybe I'll share and go into like eating and stuff like that and what that looks like. It's pretty, I don't want to say boring, but nothing special, nothing crazy. And it's really just kind of gone up from there of just finding these small things kind of put together to make one big kind of routine and pattern and habits that really work for me and kind of help me through really tough seasons. So, yeah, this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to stop here. But hopefully this was helpful to somebody. Hopefully it was relatable. Hopefully it's something that reaches, again, even if it's just one person. Like I always say, feel free to add thoughts or what your opinions are, or if you can relate to any of this, or if you have any things or habits that have helped you in seasons of transition. And yeah, I think the next time I'm going to try to maybe add some stuff about some more lighthearted topics. I really want to like show some of my shoes and what kind of shoes I like and fashion stuff. As you can see, I think I said I was going to try to showcase my apparel that I wear. This is the LGA brand I always talk about at this point, like every video is one of their brands or shirts. And yeah, I will be back soon. I need to work on the endings. That was awkward, but anywho, talk later.